I whispered, "I'm not yours." He replied, "Then why are my men guarding your door?" My name is Elena Vasquez, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a translator in New York City. This story is about how I got tangled up with a man who claimed to own me before I even knew his name. It started 3 weeks ago. I was working late at the translation agency. We had a rush job, a legal document that needed to be translated from Spanish to English by morning. I was the only one still in the office at 11 p.m. That's when he walked in. The man was tall, maybe 6'3", dark hair, expensive suit, the kind of presence that filled a room. He had 2 men with him, both wearing suits, both looking like they could break someone in half without effort. "The office is closed," I said. "I can see that," the man replied. His voice was deep, controlled. "You're Elena Vasquez. How do you know my name?" I asked. "I know everything about you," the man said. "That's creepy," I pointed out. "It's necessary," he corrected. "I need a translator." "We're closed," I repeated. "Come back tomorrow during business hours." "I don't have until tomorrow," the man said. "I need someone now, someone I can trust." "You don't even know me," I argued. "I know enough," the man said. Elena Vasquez, 28, born in Madrid, moved to New York at 16. Fluent in Spanish, English, French, and Portuguese. Top of your class, no criminal record, no debts, no connections to organized crime. "You'll do." "Do for what?" I asked. "A job," the man said. "One night. I'll pay you $10,000. "For one night of translation work?" I asked skeptically. "Yes," the man confirmed. "What's the catch?" I asked. "No catch," the man said. "I need someone to translate during a business meeting. High stakes, confidential. You translate, you forget everything you heard, you get paid. That's it." "Why so much money for simple translation?" I asked. "Because it's not simple," the man admitted, "and because I need your discretion." "What if I say no?" I asked. "Then I'll find someone else," the man said. "But I'd prefer you." "Why?" I asked. "Because my research says you're trustworthy," the man explained. "And in my world, trust is worth more than skill." I should have said no. Should have told him to leave. Should have called security. Instead, I said okay. The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Good choice," he said. "My name is Victor Constantine. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 8 p.m. "Wait," I said. "I don't even know what I'm agreeing to." "You're agreeing to translate," Victor said. "Nothing more, nothing less." He left with his men. I sat in the empty office wondering what I had just gotten myself into. The next night, Victor picked me up in a black SUV. There were 3 men with him, all armed. I could see the guns under their jackets. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Brooklyn," Victor said. "A warehouse." "Who are we meeting?" "Business associates," Victor replied. "That's vague," I pointed out. "It's intentional," Victor said. "The less you know, the safer you are." "That's not reassuring," I said. "It's not meant to be," Victor replied. We drove to a warehouse in an industrial area, the kind of place people get murdered in movies. Inside there were more men, maybe 20 of them, all armed, all watching me. Victor led me to a room, a conference table. 6 men already sitting. They spoke Spanish. I translated their greeting to Victor. He replied in English. I translated back to Spanish. The meeting was about a shipment, containers coming into port, numbers and dates and logistics. I translated everything, tried not to think about what was actually in those containers. The meeting lasted 3 hours. When it ended, Victor drove me home. "You did well," he said. "Thank you," I replied. "The money will be in your account tomorrow," Victor said. "Good," I said. "Then we're done." "Are we?" Victor asked. "Yes," I confirmed. "This was a one-time thing." "We'll see," Victor said. "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means I may need you again," Victor explained. "And now that you've done one job, you're connected to me, whether you like it or not." "I don't like it," I said. Most people don't, Victor agreed, but you'll get used to it. I went to my apartment, locked the door, tried to sleep, couldn't. The next morning, I checked my bank account. $10,000, as promised. I tried to forget about Victor, tried to go back to normal life. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then one night, I came home from work. There were 2 men standing outside my apartment building. Suits, earpieces, watching. I tried to walk past them. One stopped me. "Miss Vasquez," he said, "we're here for your protection." "Protection from what?" I asked. "Mr. Constantine's orders," the man replied. "I don't need protection," I said. "That's not for you to decide," the man said. I went inside, called Victor. His number was somehow already in my phone. I didn't put it there. "What the hell is this?" I demanded when he answered. "Good evening to you too," Victor said. "Why are there men outside my apartment?" I asked. "For your protection," he explained. "I don't need protection," I argued. "You do now," Victor said. "Why?" I asked. "What did you get me into?" "Nothing yet," Victor replied. "But people know you worked for me. That makes you a target." "A target for what?" I demanded. "Competitors," Victor said. "People who would use you to get to me." "I'm not yours to protect," I said. "Aren't you?" Victor asked. "We'll discuss this tomorrow. Dinner, 8 p.m. I'll send a car." "Don't," I said. "Too late," Victor replied, then hung up. The next night, a car came. I didn't want to go, but I also wanted answers. The restaurant was expensive. Private room. Victor was already there. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I didn't have a choice," I argued. "You always have a choice," Victor corrected. "You just don't like the consequences of saying no." "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Your continued services," Victor said. "As a translator." "I'm not interested," I said. "You will be," Victor replied. "Why?" I asked. "Because I'm offering you $100,000. "For what?" I demanded. 6 months, Victor explained. "You work for me exclusively, translate when needed, attend meetings, stay quiet about what you see." "That's insane," I said. "That's business," Victor corrected. "What if I refuse?" I asked. "Then you refuse," Victor said. "But the protection stays." "Why?" I demanded. "Because you're already involved," Victor explained. "You translated that meeting. You know things. That makes you valuable and vulnerable." "So my choices are work for you or live with guards?" I asked. "Essentially," Victor confirmed. "This is kidnapping," I argued. "This is protection," Victor corrected. "There's a difference." For 6 months, I worked for Victor. Translated meetings, learned more than I wanted to know about his business. He ran an import-export company, legitimate on paper, but the meetings I translated suggested otherwise. Weapons, information, things that shouldn't cross borders. I tried to stay detached, just translate, don't think about implications. But it was hard, especially as I got to know Victor. He was complicated, ruthless in business, but also oddly protective. He made sure I was safe, that I had everything I needed, that no one bothered me. One night, 4 months into the arrangement, someone tried to grab me. I was walking to my car after a meeting. A van pulled up. 2 men got out. Before they could reach me, Victor's guards intervened. There was a fight, guns drawn. I was rushed into Victor's car. "Are you hurt?" Victor demanded. "No," I said. I was shaking. "Who were they?" "People who made a mistake," Victor said. His voice was cold. "They won't make another." "You can't keep doing this," I said. "Doing what?" Victor asked. "Putting me in danger," I said. "I'm not putting you in danger," Victor argued. "I'm protecting you from it." "It's the same thing," I countered. "No," Victor said. "It's not." That night, Victor took me to his house, a mansion in Westchester. "For your safety," he explained, "until we know who sent them." "I'm not staying here," I argued. "Yes, you are," Victor said. It wasn't a question. I stayed, had my own room, my own space. But I was still essentially a prisoner. 2 weeks passed. I barely saw Victor. He was handling the threat, making sure whomever sent those men understood the consequences. One night, I couldn't sleep. Went downstairs, found Victor in his office. "You should be sleeping," he said. "Can't," I admitted. "Why not?" Victor asked. "Because I'm a prisoner," I said. "You're a guest," Victor corrected. "There's a difference." "Not from where I'm standing," I argued. Victor poured 2 drinks, handed me one. "Tell me something," he said. "Why did you really agree to that first job?" "Money," I replied. "That's the obvious answer," Victor said. "What's the real one?" "I was curious," I admitted. "About what?" Victor asked. "About you," I said. "About this world you operate in. I've spent my whole life being safe, doing the right thing, following rules. And where has it gotten me? Alive," Victor pointed out. "But not living," I countered. "There's a difference." "Dangerous philosophy," Victor said. "Maybe," I agreed. "But it's mine." We talked until dawn, about life, about choices, about the difference between existing and living. Something shifted between us that night. The next day, Victor told me the threat was handled. I could go home. "Do you want to?" he asked. "I should," I said. "That's not what I asked," Victor pointed out. "I don't know," I admitted. "Take your time," Victor said. "Figure it out." I stayed another week, then another. 6 months turned into 8. The arrangement became something else, something neither of us named. One night, Victor came to my room. "We need to talk," he said. "Okay," I replied. "This arrangement," Victor said, "it's not working anymore." "Why not?" I asked. "Because I can't keep pretending," Victor admitted. "Pretending what? That this is just business," Victor said. "That you're just an employee? That I don't feel something I shouldn't." "What do you feel?" I asked. "Everything I've spent years avoiding," Victor replied. "Attachment, care, something that makes me weak." "I'm not trying to make you weak," I said. "I know," Victor said. "That's the problem. You don't have to try. It just happens." "What are you saying?" I asked. "I'm saying this needs to end," Victor replied. "The arrangement, the protection, all of it." "You want me to leave?" I asked. "I need you to leave," Victor corrected, "before this becomes something we can't walk away from." "What if I don't want to walk away?" I said. "Then you're making a mistake," Victor said. "Why?" I demanded. "Because I'm not a good man," Victor explained. "I do things you can't imagine, hurt people, make choices that keep me up at night. You deserve better." "What if I get to decide what I deserve?" I asked. "You're not thinking clearly," Victor said. "Maybe not," I agreed. "But I'm thinking honestly. And honestly, I don't want to leave." "You should," Victor insisted. "But I won't," I said. I walked toward him. We were inches apart. "This is a bad idea," Victor said. "Probably," I agreed. "Elena," Victor warned. I kissed him. For a moment, he froze. Then he kissed back. Everything changed that night. We stopped pretending, stopped keeping distance, started something that felt inevitable, but dangerous. I moved in, officially, not as an employee, as something more undefined. Victor's world was complicated, dangerous, but also intoxicating. I met his associates, learned the full scope of his operations, weapons dealing, information brokering, things that would send him to prison for life. I should have been horrified. Part of me was, but another part understood. Victor didn't do this because he was evil. He did it because it was what he knew, the world he grew up in. 3 months into our relationship, someone came after us again, bombed Victor's car. He wasn't in it, but the message was clear. "This is why," Victor said. "Why I tried to push you away. Someone always comes, always tries to take what's mine." "I'm not yours," I whispered. Victor smiled. Then why are my men guarding your door? He asked. Because you're possessive, I replied. Because you're mine, Victor corrected, whether you admit it or not. That conversation became our defining moment. I wasn't his, but I was. He didn't own me, but he protected me like he did. We existed in this strange space between partnership and possession. 6 months after we started sleeping together, Victor proposed. "Marry me," he said. We were in his office. No ceremony, no ring, just the question. "Why?" I asked. "Because I want you protected," Victor explained. "Legally, financially, in every way possible." "That's not romantic," I pointed out. "I'm not a romantic man," Victor said, "but I'm a practical one, and practically speaking, marriage protects you." "What if I want romance?" I asked. "Then I'll try," Victor said, "but I can't promise to be good at it." I said yes, not because of romance, but because in Victor's world, commitment meant something. It meant he would die before letting someone hurt me. We got married at City Hall. No guests, no party, just us and a judge. Afterward, Victor took me to dinner, to the same restaurant where he first offered me the job. "Full circle," I said. "Yes," Victor agreed. "Do you regret it?" "Regret what?" I asked. "Any of it," Victor said. "The job, the arrangement, this." "No," I said honestly. "Even knowing what you know?" Victor asked. "Even knowing what my life is?" "Especially knowing that," I replied, "because I know what I'm choosing, and I'm choosing it anyway." Victor smiled. First real smile I had ever seen from him. "Good," he said, "because I'm choosing you too." 1 year after I walked into Victor's life as a translator, I was his wife, living in his world, protected by his men, part of his operations. It wasn't a normal life, but it was mine, and I wouldn't change it. That's what I tell people when they ask how we met. I was working late. He walked in needing a translator. I said no. He convinced me otherwise. Now I'm married to a man who guards my door with armed men, who claims I'm his, even when I insist I'm not, who built his life around protecting me. It's not a fairy tale. It's something darker, more complicated, but it's real, and it's ours. But marriage to Victor wasn't simple. The first year was an adjustment, learning to live with someone who operated in shadows, who made decisions that had life and death consequences, who came home some nights with blood on his hands. 2 years into our relationship, I saw Victor kill someone. We were at a meeting. One of his associates tried to double-cross him, pulled a gun. Victor was faster. 3 shots. The man was dead. I stood there frozen. Victor turned to me. "Are you okay?" he asked. Like it was normal. Like he hadn't just killed someone 10 feet away. "I think I'm going to be sick," I admitted. Victor led me out, drove me home, put me in bed. When I woke up, he was sitting in a chair watching me. "We should talk," he said, "about what you saw." "You killed him," I said. "Yes," Victor confirmed. "Does it bother you?" "Does it bother me?" I repeated. "Victor, you killed someone." "He was going to kill me," Victor said. "If I had waited 1 more second, I'd be dead. You'd probably be dead too." "That's different," I said. "Is it?" Victor asked. "In my world, hesitation means death. I do what's necessary to survive, to protect what's mine." "I'm not sure I can live with this," I admitted. "Then leave," Victor said. "No one is forcing you to stay."
"But you won't," he added, "because you understand. Even if you don't want to, you understand that this is who I am." He was right. I did understand, and I stayed. 3 years into our marriage, Victor was arrested. The FBI had been building a case. They raided our house at dawn, guns drawn, shouting. I was pulled from bed, handcuffed, questioned for hours. "What do you know about your husband's business?" they asked. "He imports and exports," I said. "Don't play stupid," the agent said. "We know he's trafficking weapons." "I want a lawyer," I replied. They held me for 24 hours. then released me. No charges. But the message was clear. They were watching. Victor made bail, came home exhausted. "We need to talk," he said. "About what?" I asked. "About you leaving," Victor said. "I'm not leaving," I argued. "Elena," Victor said, "this is just the beginning. The trial will take months, maybe years. You'll be dragged through everything, investigated, harassed, threatened." "I can handle it," I said. "You shouldn't have to," Victor replied. "I knew what I was getting into," I reminded him. "No," Victor said. "You knew in theory. This is reality. This is FBI agents breaking down our door. This is your life being torn apart." "I made my choice," I said. "I'm staying." The trial lasted 8 months. I sat in the courtroom every day, listened to prosecutors describe Victor as a monster, as someone who profited from death and destruction. They weren't entirely wrong, but they also didn't know him. Didn't know the man who made sure elderly neighbors had groceries delivered, who funded schools in his old neighborhood, who protected people who had nowhere else to turn. Victor was acquitted. Insufficient evidence. The FBI hadn't been able to prove their case. But the damage was done. Our lives were exposed. Everyone knew who Victor was, what he did. 4 years into our marriage, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned. I was terrified. Victor was ecstatic. "We're having a baby," he kept saying, like he couldn't believe it. "Are you sure about this?" I asked. "About what?" Victor replied. "Bringing a child into this life," I explained, "into danger." "Our child will be the most protected person in the world," Victor said. "That's not the same as safe," I pointed out. "Nothing is truly safe," Victor said. "But our child will have everything. Protection, resources, love. What more can we offer?" "A normal life?" I suggested. "Normal is overrated," Victor said. Our daughter was born 6 months later. We named her Sophia. She was perfect and terrifying. This tiny person who depended on us completely, who would grow up in Victor's world, whether I liked it or not. The first year of Sophia's life was hard. Victor tried to be present, but his work demanded attention. Threats didn't stop because we had a baby. One night, when Sophia was 6 months old, someone broke into our house, got past the guards, past the security, made it to Sophia's room. I was there, holding her. The intruder had a gun. "Put it down," Victor said from the doorway, his own gun raised. The intruder turned, fired, missed. Victor didn't. Later, after police left, after Sophia was back to sleep, Victor came to me. "This is why I wanted you to leave," he said. "Why I tried to push you away. Because this is my life. Danger, violence, constant threat." "I know," I said. "Do you?" Victor asked. "Because tonight someone almost killed our daughter to get to me." "I'm aware," I said. "Then you understand why this can't continue," Victor said. "What can't continue?" I asked. "This life," Victor explained. "I need to make changes." "What kind of changes?" I asked. "The kind that keep our family safe," Victor replied. 5 years into our marriage, Victor started transitioning, out of weapons, out of the most dangerous parts of his business, focusing on legitimate operations. It wasn't overnight, but gradually he pulled back, delegated, let others handle the violent side. "I'm doing this for you," he told me, "for Sophia, for the life I want us to have." "I appreciate it," I said. "Do you?" Victor asked. "Because I'm giving up power, influence, things I spent years building." "I know," I confirmed, "and I'm grateful. But also, I married you knowing who you were, what you did. You don't have to change for me." "I have to change for her," Victor said, looking at Sophia playing. "She deserves a father who comes home, who doesn't have enemies waiting to kill him." 6 years after I first translated for Victor, we had a second child, a son. We named him Nikolai, after Victor's father. Sophia was jealous at first of the attention Nikolai got, of no longer being the only one. But gradually she adjusted, became a protective older sister. 7 years in, Victor, fully legitimate, sold off his illegal operations, focused entirely on legal import-export. The money wasn't as good, but the stress was less, the danger was less. "You seem different," I told him one night. "I am different," Victor confirmed. "You and the kids changed me, made me want to be better." "You were always enough," I said. "Not for them," Victor replied. "They deserve the best version of me, not the version that kills people." 8 years into our marriage, Victor's past caught up with us anyway. An old enemy, someone who hadn't forgotten, who didn't care that Victor had gone legitimate. They kidnapped Sophia, took her from school. By the time we realized, she had been gone for 3 hours. Victor transformed. The man who had been trying to be better disappeared. The old Victor returned. Cold, calculating, terrifying. "I will burn the world down to get her back," he said. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. It took 12 hours. Victor called in every favor, used every connection, found Sophia locked in a warehouse in New Jersey. He went in alone, didn't wait for police, didn't wait for backup. When he came out, Sophia was in his arms, crying but unharmed. Behind him, the warehouse burned. "What happened?" I asked. "Nothing that matters," Victor said. "Sophia is safe. That's all that counts." The police investigated, found 3 bodies in the warehouse, ruled it self-defense. But I knew. Victor had executed them, made sure they could never threaten our family again. 9 years into our marriage, Sophia started asking questions about what Daddy used to do, about why we had guards, about why some kids' parents were afraid of us. Victor sat her down, told her age-appropriate truths. "I used to work in a dangerous business," he explained. "I protected people. Sometimes I made mistakes, but everything I did was to build a life for our family." "Are you a bad person?" Sophia asked. "I've done bad things," Victor admitted, "but I try to be good for you, for your mother, for your brother. That's all anyone can do. Try to be better than they were." 10 years after that first translation job, Victor and I renewed our vows. With our kids watching, with Victor's associates and my family present. In my vows, I talked about choice, about choosing Victor every day for 10 years, despite danger, despite fear, despite everything. In his vows, Victor talked about ownership. "You told me once that you're not mine," he said. "And you're right. You're not mine to own, but you're mine to protect, mine to cherish, mine to choose, every single day for the rest of my life." 11 years in, we moved, out of New York to a house in Connecticut, somewhere quieter, safer, better for the kids. Victor commuted to the city for work, but came home every night, ate dinner with us, helped with homework, became the father he never thought he could be. 12 years after I met Victor, Nikolai started school. Sophia was in middle school. Both kids were adjusting to normal life, to having a father who was mostly legitimate, to being relatively safe. One night, Sophia asked me a question. "Mom, do you regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" I replied. "Marrying Dad," Sophia said. "Everyone at school talks about him, about what he used to do. They say he's a criminal." "He used to be," I confirmed, "but people can change." "So you don't regret it?" Sophia pressed. "Never," I said. "Your father gave me a life I never imagined, gave us you and your brother,
protected us when others wouldn't. I'm proud to be his wife." "Even with everything?" Sophia asked. "Especially with everything," I confirmed, "because the everything is what made us who we are." 13 years into our marriage, Victor's mentor died. A man who had raised him, taught him the business, been more father than his own father. Victor grieved hard, withdrew, spent days in his office not speaking. I sat with him, didn't push, just let him process. "He saved me," Victor finally said. "When I was 16, gave me purpose, made me into someone who mattered. Now he's gone," I said. "But what he built in you remains." Victor looked at me. "You sound like him," Victor said. "He always said people live on through their impact, through who they shape." "Then he lives on in you," I said. "In the man you became, in how you've raised our children. That's his legacy." 14 years after that first meeting, we took a family trip to Spain, where I was born, where I hadn't been in years. I showed Victor and the kids where I grew up, the streets I played on, the school I attended. "This is where you were before me," Victor said, "before everything changed." "It feels like a different life," I admitted. "It was a different life," Victor agreed. "You were safe, simple. Then I complicated everything."
"You gave me everything," I corrected. "This is beautiful," Victor said, looking at the city, "but I'm glad you left. Glad you ended up in New York, in my office that night." "Me too," I agreed. 15 years after I walked into Victor's office, we celebrated our anniversary. The kids threw us a party, invited family, friends, even some of Victor's old associates, clean now, legitimate like him. In my speech, I reflected on 15 years, on how one translation job changed everything. 15 years ago, I said, a man walked into my office, demanded I work for him. I should have said no, should have called security, should have run far away. But I didn't. I was curious, intrigued, maybe a little reckless. That curiosity gave me this life, this family, these 15 years. Looking back, I'm grateful for every moment, even the terrifying ones, especially the terrifying ones, because they taught me something important, that love isn't just about the good times, it's about standing together through the bad, about choosing each other when it would be easier to walk away, about building something real from something impossible. Victor gave his own speech. 15 years ago, I walked into a translation office, he said, saw a woman working late, recognized something in her, determination, strength, the kind of person who could handle my world. I claimed her that night, told her my men would guard her door, made her mine before she even agreed. That was arrogant, possessive, everything I shouldn't have done. He looked at me, but it was also the best decision I ever made, because Alina didn't just handle my world, she changed it, changed me, made me want to be better, made me into a father, a husband, a man who comes home instead of a man who destroys. 16 years in, Sophia graduated high school, heading to college. Our baby was leaving. It's strange, I told Victor, letting her go. She's ready, Victor said. We raised her to be strong, independent, capable. I know, I admitted, but I'm going to miss her. Me too, Victor said. But we did our job, protected her, prepared her. Now she gets to build her own life. With Sophia gone, the house felt empty, even with Nikolai still there. Victor and I had to relearn being a couple, not just parents. We started dating again. Weekly dinners, weekend trips, remembering why we chose each other. 17 years after that first translation job, Nikolai started asking about the family business. He wanted to work with Victor, learn the operations. No, Victor said immediately. Why not? Nikolai asked. Because I don't want this life for you, Victor explained. I want you to have choices I didn't have. But it's legitimate now, Nikolai argued. It is, Victor confirmed, but it's still my world, my connections, my reputation. I want you to build your own, not inherit mine. Nikolai was frustrated, but Victor stood firm. 18 years into our marriage, my mother passed away. I was devastated. She had never fully approved of Victor, never understood my choice, but she had been my mother. Victor supported me through the grief, took time off work, made sure I had space to process. Your mother loved you, he said, even if she didn't understand your choices. I know, I said. I just wish things had been different. They were what they were, Victor replied. You can't change the past, only honor it. 19 years after I met Victor, he was diagnosed with high blood pressure, stress-related. Years of living in danger had taken their toll. You need to slow down, the doctor said. I have slowed down, Victor argued. Not enough, the doctor replied. You're carrying decades of stress. It's affecting your health. I was scared of losing him, of being alone. You're not dying on me, I told Victor. Not a chance, Victor promised. 20 years after that first translation job, we threw a massive party. 2 decades since I translated for Victor, since he claimed I was his, since everything changed. In my speech, I reflected on 20 years, on how wrong numbers and late nights and curiosity led to this life. 20 years ago, I said, I was a translator, working late, living safely. Then Victor walked in, and my life exploded. He demanded I work for him, protected me whether I wanted it or not, claimed I was his before I ever agreed. That should have been terrifying. It was terrifying, but it was also exhilarating, because for the first time, I felt truly alive. Victor and I have built 20 years from that night, raised 2 kids, survived danger and trials and enemies, built something impossible, and I would do it all again. In his speech, Victor talked about ownership. 20 years ago, Elena whispered she wasn't mine, he said. I replied that my men were guarding her door, implying she was mine whether she admitted it or not. That was arrogant, possessive, wrong in so many ways. But also, it was true. Not that I owned her, but that I had chosen her, that I would protect her, that I would claim her as mine and make sure the world knew it. 20 years later, nothing has changed. Elena still insists she's not mine. I still keep guards at our door.
We still exist in this space between partnership and possession, and it works for us. After the party, Victor and I sat alone. 20 years, I said. 2 decades since you walked into my office. Best 20 years of my life, Victor confirmed. Mine too, I agreed. We sat in comfortable silence. 2 people who had built something impossible, who had survived when they shouldn't have, who had turned danger into family. I whispered, I'm not yours, I said, repeating those words from years ago. Victor smiled. Then why are my men still guarding your door? He asked. Because you're impossible, I replied. Because you're mine, Victor corrected, and I'm yours, whether we admit it or not. 21 years after that first translation job, Nikolai graduated college. He had studied business. Against Victor's wishes, he wanted to join the family company. Dad, I'm ready, Nikolai said. Ready for what? Victor asked. To work with you, Nikolai explained. To learn the business. No, Victor said again. I've told you, I don't want this life for you. It's not that life anymore, Nikolai argued. You went legitimate. It's just import-export now. It's never just anything, Victor countered. My reputation follows me. My past follows me. I want better for you. I don't want better, Nikolai said. I want this. I want to work with my father. Victor looked at me. What do you think? He asked. I think he's an adult, I said, old enough to make his own choices, even if we don't agree with them. Victor sighed, gave in. Nikolai started working at the company, learning from Victor, understanding the operations. 22 years into our marriage, Sophia got engaged to a lawyer, someone clean, someone with no connection to Victor's world. Victor was relieved. At least one of my children chose normal, he said. Is that what you wanted? I asked.
For them to choose differently than we did? I wanted them to have options, Victor clarified. Sophia chose normal. Nikolai chose this world. Both are valid, as long as they're happy. The wedding was beautiful, Sophia glowing, her fiancé nervous about meeting Victor's associates. Don't worry, Victor told him. They're mostly legitimate now. Mostly isn't reassuring, the fiancé replied. It's the best I can offer, Victor said. 23 years after I walked into Victor's life, we became grandparents. Sophia had a baby girl. They named her Elena, after me. Holding my granddaughter, I thought about everything. About translating for a dangerous man, about guards at my door, about 23 years that led to this moment. She's perfect, Victor said, looking at baby Elena. She is, I agreed. And she'll grow up safe, Victor added. Protected, loved, normal. As normal as our family gets, I joked. 24 years in, Victor had a heart attack. Minor, but scary. He survived, but it was a wake-up call. I can't do this forever, Victor admitted from his hospital bed. Do what? I asked. Work? Protect? Carry the weight of everything? You don't have to, I said. Nikolai's ready. He can take over. That scares me, Victor confessed. Why? I asked. Because if something happens to him, it's my fault, Victor explained, for letting him into this world. Nothing will happen to him, I promised. You can't promise that, Victor said. In this world, anything can happen. You've kept us safe for 24 years, I reminded him. You'll keep him safe too. 25 years after that first translation, we celebrated. A quarter century since Victor walked into my office, since everything changed. In my speech, I reflected on 25 years, on choices and consequences, and building a life from danger. 25 years ago, I said, I made a choice to translate for a dangerous man, to enter his world, to stay even when I should have run. That choice led to everything. This marriage, these children, these grandchildren, this impossible life. Looking back, I'm grateful. Not just for the good parts, for all of it. For the danger that taught me courage, for the fear that taught me strength, for the challenges that taught me commitment. Victor gave his own speech. 25 years ago, I walked into a translation office, he said.
Needing help. I saw Elena and I knew she was different, knew she could handle my world, knew I wanted to claim her. I've spent 25 years doing exactly that, claiming her, protecting her, making sure the world knows she's mine, even when she insists she's not. He looked at me. Elena still whispers she's not mine. I still reply that my men guard her door. It's our thing, our dynamic, our truth. Because the reality is complicated. She's not mine to own, but she's mine to love, mine to protect, mine to choose. Every single day for 25 years, and every day for however many we have left. 26 years in, Nikolai took over the company. Victor stepped back, became an advisor, letting his son lead. It's strange, Victor told me, not being in charge, not making decisions. That's retirement, I said. Welcome to it. I don't know how to just exist, Victor admitted, without work, without purpose. Your purpose is here, I said, with me, with our family. That's enough? Victor asked. It has to be, I replied, because you've spent 26 years building this family. Now you get to enjoy it. 27 years after meeting Victor, my father passed away. He had accepted Victor eventually, understood that despite everything, Victor made me happy. Your father was a good man, Victor said at the funeral. Better than me. Different than you, I corrected. Not better, just different. Victor had mellowed over the years. The dangerous man had become a protective grandfather, someone who played with babies and helped with homework. But I still saw glimpses of who he was. when someone threatened Nikolai at work. When an old enemy resurfaced, the old Victor would emerge, cold, calculating, ready to destroy anyone who threatened his family. Then he would come home, kiss me, hold our grandchildren, and be gentle again. 28 years into our marriage, Sophia had another baby, a boy. Victor was obsessed. 2 grandchildren, he kept saying, like he couldn't believe it. "You're a good grandfather," I told him. "I'm trying," Victor said, "trying to be better than my own grandfather was." "You are," I confirmed. "You're present, loving, everything they need." "That's all because of you," Victor said. "You taught me how to be gentle, how to be present. Before you, I only knew how to be hard." 29 years after that first translation job, we took a trip. Just us, no kids, no grandchildren. To Italy, where we could be anonymous, where Victor's reputation didn't follow. "This is nice," Victor said. "Being no one, just 2 tourists." "You're not no one," I argued. "You're Victor Constantine." "Here, I'm just a man on vacation with his wife," Victor corrected. "No guards, no reputation, no past. Just us." "I could get used to this," I said. "Don't," Victor warned. "This is temporary. The real world is waiting when we get back." "I know," I said, "but for now, let's pretend." So we pretended for 2 weeks. Then we went home, back to reality, back to being who we were. 30 years after I walked into Victor's office, we threw the biggest party yet. 3 decades since that night. 3 decades since Victor claimed I was his, since I insisted I wasn't. In my speech, I reflected on 30 years, on how much had changed and how much stayed the same. 30 years ago, I said, I was a translator, single, safe, living a normal life. Then Victor walked in, demanded I work for him, turned my life upside down, made me his whether I agreed or not. That should have been the end of us. Instead, it was the beginning. 30 years, 2 children, multiple grandchildren. A life built from danger and choice and stubborn commitment. We've survived things that should have destroyed us. FBI investigations, assassination attempts, enemies who wanted us dead, and we're still here, still choosing each other, still building this impossible life. Victor's speech was shorter, simpler. 30 years ago, Elena whispered, "She's not mine," he said. I replied that my men guard her door. We've been having that conversation for 3 decades. She insists she's not mine. I insist she is. The truth is somewhere in between.
She's not mine to own, but she's mine in every way that matters. Mine to love, mine to protect, mine to choose. For 30 years, and for however many more we get. After the party, we sat in our backyard. 30 years, I said. 3 decades since everything changed. Feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago at the same time, Victor replied. I know what you mean, I agreed. We sat in comfortable silence. 2 people who had survived impossible odds, who had built something lasting from something dangerous. Do you regret it? Victor asked suddenly. Regret what? I replied. Any of it, Victor said. The danger, the fear, the life I pulled you into. Never, I said honestly. Even knowing what you know now? Victor asked. Especially knowing what I know now, I confirmed. Because I know what we built, what we survived, what we created. That's worth everything. Good, Victor said, because I'd do it all again. Even the parts where you tried to push me away? I asked. Especially those parts, Victor said, because they proved you'd stay anyway. 31 years into our marriage, Victor's health declined. The years of stress caught up with him. High blood pressure, heart issues. The doctor warned him to slow down even more. You're not invincible, I told Victor. I know, he admitted, but I've spent so long being strong. It's hard to be weak. You're not weak, I corrected. You're human. There's a difference. 32 years after that first translation job, Nikolai got married to a woman who knew nothing about the family business, who thought we were just normal import-exporters. She'll figure it out eventually, Victor said. Should we tell her? I asked. She'll learn on her own, Victor replied. Just like you did.
by staying, by paying attention, by choosing to see the truth. 33 years in, Sophia's daughter Elena started asking about me, about how I met her grandfather. "Tell me the story," she said. "I was working late," I explained. "Your grandfather walked in, needed a translator, changed my life." "Just like that?" Elena asked. "Just like that," I confirmed. "One moment, one choice, everything changed." "That's romantic," Elena said. "It was dangerous," I corrected. "Your grandfather was a scary man." "Is he still scary?" Elena asked. "Sometimes," I admitted, "when he needs to be, to protect us. But mostly, he's just Grandpa." 34 years after meeting Victor, we moved again, to a smaller house, something manageable for just us. "The kids are gone," Victor said. "We don't need all this space." "It feels like an ending," I admitted. "It's a beginning," Victor corrected, "of the next phase, just us again, like when we started." 35 years into our marriage, Victor was diagnosed with cancer, prostate, treatable, but still terrifying. "I can't lose you," I told him. "You're not losing me," Victor promised. "I'm too stubborn to die." "You better be," I said, "because I'm not done with you yet." Victor underwent treatment, surgery, radiation, months of feeling terrible. But he survived, went into remission. 36 years after that first translation job, Victor wrote a memoir about his life, about going from weapons dealer to legitimate businessman, about me, about how a translator changed everything. "You're making us sound romantic," I said, reading it. "We are romantic," Victor argued, "in our own way." "In a dangerous way," I corrected. "The best way," Victor said. The book was published, became a bestseller. People were fascinated by our story, by how we built something lasting from something impossible. 37 years in, we were sitting on our porch, watching sunset. 37 years, I said, since you walked into my office. "Best 37 years, Victor confirmed. "Even the scary parts?" I asked. "Especially the scary parts," Victor said. "They made us who we are." I leaned against him, thought about everything we had survived. I whispered, "I'm not yours," I said, our old refrain. Victor smiled. "Then why are my men still guarding your door?" he asked. "Because old habits die hard," I replied. "Because you're mine," Victor corrected. "Always have been, always will be." 38 years after meeting Victor, Nikolai had a daughter.
Victor's third grandchild. He was obsessed with her, spoiled her endlessly. "You're going to ruin her," I told him. "That's what grandparents do," Victor replied. "Ruin grandchildren, then hand them back to their parents." 39 years into our marriage, we renewed our vows again for the third time, with our whole family watching. Kids, grandchildren, Victor's associates, my remaining family. In my vows, I talked about 39 years, about choice and commitment and stubbornness. In his vows, Victor talked about possession and protection and love. 40 years after that first translation job, we threw a massive celebration. 4 decades since Victor walked into my office. 4 decades since he claimed I was his. 4 decades since I started insisting I wasn't. In my speech, I reflected on 40 years, on everything we had built and survived. 40 years ago, I said, a dangerous man walked into my office, demanded I translate for him. I should have said no, should have run, should have chosen safety. Instead, I chose curiosity, chose danger, chose him. That choice gave me 40 years of the most intense, complicated, beautiful life. We've survived things that should have destroyed us, built things that shouldn't exist, created a family from danger and protection and stubborn love. And I would choose it all again, every terrifying moment, every dangerous situation, every time Victor's men guarded my door, because it led here, to this family, to this life, to 40 years with a man who claims I'm his, even when I insist I'm not. Victor's speech was emotional, more than I had ever seen him. 40 years ago, he said, I walked into a translation office, saw a woman who intrigued me, claimed her before she could say no, made her mine through sheer will and stubbornness. That was arrogant, possessive, everything I shouldn't have done, but it was also the best decision I ever made, because Elena didn't just accept my protection, she transformed it, transformed me, made me into someone worthy of her choosing. He looked at me.
For 40 years, Elena has whispered she's not mine. For 40 years, I've replied that my men guard her door. We've been having this conversation for 4 decades, and I hope we have it for 4 more. Because the truth is simple. She's not mine to own, but she's mine in every way that matters, and I'm hers, completely, forever. After the party, we sat alone, reflecting on 40 years. 40 years, I said. 4 decades since you changed my life. Changed it for the better, Victor corrected. Most of the time, I joked. He smiled, pulled me close. I whispered, I'm not yours, I said softly. Victor kissed my forehead. Then, why are my men still guarding your door? He asked. Because you love me, I replied. Because you're mine, Victor said, and I'm yours, always. 41 years after that first translation job, Victor's cancer returned, more aggressive this time. The prognosis wasn't good. I'm not ready, Victor told me. Ready for what? I asked. To leave you, Victor said. To leave this life we built. You're not leaving, I insisted. Not if I have anything to say about it. Victor underwent aggressive treatment, chemotherapy, more radiation, clinical trials. I was with him through all of it, holding his hand, reminding him why he needed to fight. 42 years into our marriage, Victor went into remission again. The doctors called it a miracle. I called it stubbornness. I told you, Victor said, too stubborn to die. Good, I replied, stay that way. 43 years after meeting Victor, we took another trip to all the places we had been, retracing our history. This is where we honeymooned, Victor said, in Paris. This is where you proposed, I said, in Westchester. This is where we survived, Victor said, in Brooklyn. The warehouse had been demolished, but we stood on the spot, remembered. We've been through a lot, I said. We have, Victor agreed, and we're still here. 44 years in, Nikolai stepped down from the company, sold it. The Constantine Empire, built over decades, ended. It's time, Nikolai said, to do something different.
Victor was surprisingly okay with it. Good, he said. That business took enough from our family. Let it end. What will you do now? I asked Nikolai. Live, he replied. Actually live, not just survive. That's what your mother taught me, Victor said. The difference between existing and living. 45 years after that first translation, Victor's health declined again. Not cancer, just age. His body wearing down after decades of stress. I'm tired, he admitted. Of what? I asked. Everything, Victor said. Fighting, surviving, being strong. You don't have to be strong anymore, I said. Yes, I do, Victor argued. For you. I don't need you to be strong, I corrected. I just need you to be here. I'm trying, Victor said. For you, I'll keep trying. 46 years into our marriage, we moved into senior living, a nice place with support, where Victor could get help when he needed it. This feels like giving up, Victor said. It's being smart, I corrected. Accepting help isn't weakness. 47 years after meeting Victor, I woke up one morning and he was gone. Not dead, just gone. Walked out during the night. I found him at our old house in Westchester, the one we raised the kids in. What are you doing here? I asked. Remembering, Victor said. This is where we lived, where Sophia took her first steps, where Nikolai learned to ride a bike, where we built our family. Come home, I said. This was home, Victor replied. This was where I learned to be more than a criminal, where you taught me to be a father, a husband, a person. It still is, I said. Home is wherever we are together. Victor came back with me, but I could see him slipping, living more in memories than present. 48 years after that first translation job, Victor was mostly bedridden. The doctor said his organs were failing. It was just a matter of time. I'm sorry, Victor said one afternoon. For what? I asked. For leaving you, Victor explained. For not keeping my promise to protect you forever. You kept that promise, I said. You protected me for 48 years. That's enough." "It's never enough," Victor argued. "I want more time." "Me too," I admitted, "but we don't get to choose." "We get what we get," Victor said, "and I got 48 years with you. That's more than I deserved." "You deserved everything," I corrected. One night, Victor called me to his bedside. "Elena," he said, his voice weak. "I'm here," I replied. "Do you remember?" Victor asked. "Remember what?" "The first thing I said to you," Victor explained, "when you walked into my office." "I remember," I confirmed. "I said you were mine," Victor recalled, "claimed you before you could argue." "I did argue," I reminded him. "You did," Victor agreed. "You whispered, 'You're not mine.' And I said, 'My men guard your door.'" "Our thing," I said. "Our truth," Victor corrected. "For 48 years, we've been having that conversation. You insisting you're not mine, me insisting you are. What's the answer?" I asked. "The answer is both," Victor said. "You're not mine to own, but you're mine in every way that matters. And I'm yours, completely, until the end." "This isn't the end," I said.
"Alina," Victor said gently. "We both know it is. Then I'll be there," I promised. "Holding your hand, reminding you that you're mine too." "Good," Victor said, "because I don't want to do this alone." "You won't," I said. "I'm here, until the end and after." Victor passed away the next morning, peacefully, with me holding his hand. At his funeral, Nikolai gave the eulogy. "My father was many things," he said. "A criminal, a businessman, a protector. But most importantly, he was a man who loved completely, who claimed my mother the day he met her and spent 48 years proving it. He wasn't perfect, he made mistakes, did things he regretted, but he also transformed, became someone better, someone worthy of the love he received." After the funeral, Sophia came to me. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I admitted, "but I will be." "You loved him," Sophia said. "I did," I confirmed. "Despite everything, despite who he was, what he did, I loved him." "And he loved you," Sophia replied. "Everyone could see it. The way he looked at you, protected you, claimed you. That was real love." "It was," I agreed. "Complicated and dangerous and intense, but real." The first year after Victor's death was hard, learning to live without him, without his protection, without guards at my door, but I survived. Because Victor had taught me how, taught me to be strong, to make choices, to live instead of just existing. 2 years after Victor died, I published my own memoir about our life together, about 48 years with a dangerous man, about being claimed and protected and loved in the most intense way possible. The book was called Not Yours, after the words I had whispered so many times, after the conversation we had for 48 years. In the book, I was honest about the danger, about the fear, about watching Victor kill people, about FBI raids and trials and enemies, but also about the love, about the protection, about building something impossible, about choosing each other every day for 48 years. The book became a bestseller. People connected with our story, with the intensity, with the reality that love isn't always clean or simple or safe. 3 years after Victor's death, I moved back to the old house in Westchester, where we raised the kids, where Victor had gone that last time to remember, where home was. 4 years after losing Victor, Sophia's daughter, Elena, got married.
She asked me to speak at the wedding about love, about marriage, about what makes it last. Love is choice, I said, not just once, but every day. Victor chose me for 48 years, even when it was hard, even when I argued, even when I insisted I wasn't his. He chose me anyway, and I chose him. Despite the danger, despite the fear, despite everything saying I shouldn't. That's what made it work. Not that it was easy, but that we kept choosing, kept showing up, kept building something real. 5 years after Victor passed, I scattered his ashes at all the places that mattered. The office where we met, the house where we lived, the warehouse where he saved Sophia. Goodbye, I whispered at each place. Thank you for 48 years. Thank you for claiming me. Thank you for teaching me to live. 6 years after his death, I started a foundation to help people escape dangerous situations, to give them protection and resources, named after Victor, the man who protected me when no one else could. 7 years after losing him, I was at peace, missing him, but also grateful for 48 years, for everything we built, for the life he gave me. One day, Elena came to visit, the granddaughter named after me. Tell me about Grandpa, she said. What do you want to know? I asked. Everything, Elena replied. I told her about walking into his office, about him claiming I was his, about 48 years of arguing about ownership, about building something impossible. He sounds intense, Elena said. He was, I confirmed, but also amazing. And he loved you, Elena stated. He did, I agreed, in the most possessive, protective, intense way possible. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Do you miss him? Elena asked.
Every day, I admitted, but I'm also grateful for the time we had, for the life we built, for everything. 10 years after Victor died, I was diagnosed with dementia, early stages. The doctors said I would forget things, lose memories, become someone else. The family rallied, made sure I was cared for, that I was safe. 11 years after his death, I was mostly in memory care, living in the past more than present. But one memory never faded. Walking into Victor's office, him looking up, claiming I was his, me arguing I wasn't. 48 years of that conversation. That memory stayed clear, even as others faded. Where's Victor? I would ask sometimes. He's not here, Sophia would say gently, but he loved you very much. I remember, I'd say. I remember him saying I'm his, me saying I'm not. The guards at my door? That's right, Sophia would confirm. That's your story. 12 years after Victor's death, I passed away, peacefully, in my sleep, surrounded by family. At my funeral, Nikolai spoke. My mother lived an impossible life, he said. She fell in love with a dangerous man. Let him claim her. Let him protect her. Built 48 years from something that should have destroyed her. But it didn't destroy her. It made her strong, made her brave, made her into someone who lived fully, not safely, not simply, but fully. That's her legacy, not just surviving my father's world, but thriving in it. They buried me next to Victor, two people who argued about possession for 48 years. The headstone read simple words, Elena and Victor Constantine. Not his, but his anyway. Years later, people still told our story.
about the translator who walked into a dangerous man's office, about him claiming she was his, about her insisting she wasn't, about 48 years of that conversation, about building love from danger. The story became legend, a reminder that love isn't always safe or simple, but it can be real. It can be intense. It can last. I whispered, "I'm not yours." He replied, "Then why are my men guarding your door?" That exchange defined us for 48 years. And even now, long after both of us are gone, it defines our legacy. A love built on protection and possession and choice, on claiming and arguing and ultimately staying. That was us. That was our story. And I'm grateful for every moment of it. Decades after both Victor and I had passed, our story continued to live. The foundation bearing Victor's name helped thousands of people, giving them protection when they needed it most, resources to escape dangerous situations, the same thing Victor gave me all those years ago. Our grandchildren grew up knowing the story, about how their grandmother walked into a dangerous man's office, about how he claimed her, about 48 years of arguing about ownership. The story became family legend, passed down through generations. Sophia's children told it to their children, about great-grandma Elena, who loved a dangerous man, about great-grandpa Victor, who protected her with everything he had. Each generation interpreted it differently. Some saw it as romantic. Others saw it as possessive. All recognized it as real, as complicated love that lasted despite impossible odds. The house in Westchester became a family gathering place, where everyone came for holidays, where stories were told, where Elena and Victor's legacy lived on. Nikolai's children continued the legitimate business, building on what Victor created, turning his empire into something completely clean, something their great-grandfather would be proud of. But they never forgot where it came from. The dangerous beginnings, the transformation, the choice to become legitimate for family. In schools, decades later, our story was studied as an example of how people can change, how love can transform, how complicated relationships can still be real and lasting. Relationship counselors referenced us as an example of intense commitment, of choosing each other daily, of navigating power dynamics in partnership. The memoir I wrote was still read by people trying to understand complicated love.
Trying to figure out if intense possessiveness can coexist with real partnership. The answer, I had written, is yes, if both people choose it. If both people understand what they're building. If protection doesn't become control. Victor protected me, but he also let me be myself. Let me argue. Let me insist I wasn't his. He claimed me while also respecting my autonomy. That balance made it work. Years turned into decades. Our great-great-grandchildren grew up in a world we couldn't have imagined. Safe, legitimate, far removed from Victor's original world. But they still learned the story about the translator and the dangerous man, about guards at doors and whispered arguments about ownership, about 48 years of choosing each other. On the 50th anniversary of my death, the family gathered at the graves where Victor and I were buried. They placed flowers, told stories, remembered. One of our great-great-granddaughters spoke. She was in her 20s, the same age I was when I met Victor. 50 years ago, my great-great-grandmother died, she said, joining her husband who had died 12 years earlier. They had lived an impossible life, built love from danger, created a family from intensity and protection and stubborn commitment. Their story isn't simple, it's not clean. It's not what we usually think of as love. But it was real. It lasted. It mattered. The family stood in silence,
honoring two people who built something that lasted, who transformed danger into legacy, who chose each other for 48 years. Later, they gathered at the old house, shared memories, told stories, each person adding their piece to the legend. "This is what they built," someone said, gesturing at the assembled family. "Multiple generations, all because Elena walked into Victor's office one night, all because he claimed she was his, all because they spent 48 years arguing about it while building something real. That's love," another family member added. "Not the simple kind, the complicated kind, the kind that requires work and choice and daily commitment, the kind that lasts." In the end, that's the legacy. Not just Victor's empire or my translation work, but the family we built, the love we proved was possible, the example we set. I whispered, "I'm not yours." He replied, "Then why are my men guarding your door?" That exchange became our truth, our reality, our definition of love. And it worked. For 48 years, through danger and trials and enemies, through transformation and legitimacy and aging, through everything, we chose each other every single day. That's the story. That's the legacy. That's what remains long after we're both gone. A reminder that love can be intense and possessive and real, that protection and partnership can coexist, that arguing about ownership for decades can be its own form of intimacy. We were complicated, but we were real, and that's enough. That's everything. That's our lasting impact on everyone who came after us. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.